Royal Communications Incorporated. Good evening and welcome to King's News Broom 45 minutes news about Liberia, Africa, and our one world. Today is Friday, July 25, 2025, and I'm Shemon Dia presenting. In the headlines, as Liberia commemorates 108th Independence Day on Saturday, dozens of Liberians criticized the government over economic hardship, questioned government's sense of national celebration. President Joseph Boakai acknowledges deteriorating conditions of Monrovia Central Prison as he grants executive clemency to 75 inmates across the country. And also in the news tonight, Chief Imam of Liberia Ali Krai says Liberia Islamic community awaits police investigation in recent assault of a Muslim woman to speak on what is no doubt a potentially explosive situation once that Liberia is sitting on a time bomb. Away from home, the treason trial of the former president of the Democratic Republic of Congo, Joseph Kabila, has begun in a military court in the capital, Kinshasa. US President Donald Trump has said Hamas did not really want to make a deal on a new Gaza ceasefire and hostage release after the US and Israel withdrew their negotiating teams from Qatar. This plus the news bulletin, voices of those making the news at our package. We'll take a short break to be right back. Welcome back at this juncture. We join Sam Andrews with the news bulletin.
Liberians will on this Saturday celebrate the country's 178th Independence Day as the government named Ambassador Emmett Lafayette Dunn as national orator. During a King's FM Citizen View sampling in Monrovia, citizens expressed worries over the country's economy, describing it as very tough. Some, according to them, due to economic hardship, many Liberians might be unable to celebrate the country's 178th independence. They expressed frustration in the government over what they call worsening economic conditions and unfulfilled promises. President Joseph Boakai has granted executive clemency to 75 inmates across Liberia as part of the country's 178th Independence Day celebrations. The decision is in consonance with Article 59 of the country's constitution, which empowers the president to grant reprieve and pardon and to commute sentences as part of his executive authority. Speaking in Monrovia Friday following the release of the inmates, President Boakai urged the inmates to see their freedom as a second chance to contribute meaningfully to society. He condemned criminal activity throughout the country and underscored the importance of youth engagement and integration in all sectors of the society. The Liberian leader expressed concern about the deteriorating conditions at Monrovia Central Prison and announced plans by his government to improve prison facilities across the country with a focus on enhancing healthcare and living conditions for inmates. The chief imam of Liberia, Ali Krai, has issued a frightening statement day after hundreds of Liberian Muslims, predominantly Fulanites, held a mass protest in Monrovia over police reported assault of a Fula woman, Zainamba, in Broomville for alleged power theft. In a statement issued Friday, the chief imam said Liberia is sitting on a time bomb, a statement that has generated mixed reactions amongst Liberians and several, claiming it has the propensity to generate religious and social chaos across the country. According to him, overwhelming majority of those who support Zainamba are Muslims, especially Fulanites, while vast majority of those who support the police officer are non-Muslims, alleging that although the video was watched by nearly everyone, but several people have come up with contrasting interpretations and conclusions based largely on their religious and ethnic backgrounds. Chief Imam Ali Krai warned that as Liberia commemorates Independence Day on Saturday, it is important to pray for the country, adding that from what he has heard and observed, the country is sitting on a time bomb. The chief imam emphasized that the Liberia Muslim Islamic community await the police investigation before speaking on what is no doubt a potentially explosive situation. The opposition movement for change, Citizens Movement for Change, has condemned what it termed political and tribal sentiments attached to the recent incident involving officers of the Liberia National Police and a Fula woman. The incident video footages which display a tense altercation between an officer of the Liberia National Police and a Fula woman named Zainab Bar on allegation of power theft has sparked mixed reactions, resulting to a mass protest by the Liberian Muslim community. In the wake of growing public concern, prominent figures from both the Christian and Muslim faiths, including Imam Ali Krai, described the situation as taking on religious and ethnic battles. In a statement issued Friday, CMC, among other things, rejected tribalization as the situation and called for national unity. The party expressed its belief that no individual action should be used to stigmatize an entire ethnic or religious group, adding that the Fula community is an integral part of Liberia and as such their rights must be respected. At the same time, the Citizen Movement for Change has commended Police Inspector General Gregory Coleman for what they described as a prompt apology and commitment to a thorough and impartial investigation into the incident. In a related development, the chairman of the opposition Congress for Democratic Change, Janga Ko, has described Police RG Gregory Coleman's apology to the Muslim community as flimsy and a mockery to the victim and her family following an incident between LP officers and a Muslim lady. In a statement posted on his social media page Friday, Anthony at Law Jangako attributed the incident to indiscretion of the LNP, terming it as part of a growing trend of unprofessional conduct under the leadership of Inspector General Gregory Coleman. According to the CDC chairman, there has been a systemic rise in police brutality since 2024, claiming that it has led to multiple incidents of death, serious injury, and bodily harm. Anthony at Law also emphasized that law enforcement officers are trained to exercise restraint when engaging with civilians, but argued that under the current Unity Party-led government, the culture of restraint has sharply deteriorated. He further added that the increasing cases of police misconduct are contributing to the erosion of public trust in the police force, with growing fear and uncertainty among citizens regarding their safety and protection. The Solidarity and Trust for New Day has announced Monday, August 4th, as Citizens Appreciation Day to honor Liberians who participated in July 17 Enough is Enough protest. In a statement issued Friday, STEN Chairman Molba Molu said the day is intended to recognize the courage and solidarity of thousands of Liberians who joined the protest in demand of justice, accountability, and reforms from the Boakai administration. Moba Molu lauded the protesters for standing firm in the face of threats and intimidation, describing their participation as a powerful display of civic responsibility and national unity. He described the occasion as a true celebration of Liberian unity in the fight for democracy and justice, adding that the event will feature cultural performances, revolutionary songs, speeches, among others. The Stern chairman for the call on President Boakai to adhere to Stern's 14-day ultimatum by responding to the people's petition, warning that failure to do so could trigger another nationwide protest. A group under the banner, All University Students with Disabilities, is calling on the government to provide assistance to disabled university students by cutting for their needs. The president, Pickens Bird, in an interview with King's News, also challenged private institutions to incorporate people with disabilities into their employment. Perkins, who is a student at the state-run university, stressed that they have been ignored by past and current governments in terms of support, something he described as marginalization of people with disabilities in Liberia. The head of the University Students with Disabilities encouraged others to remain focused and hopeful in changing the negative narrative that disability is inability. The office of the Ombudsman has called for the immediate resignation of several officials of government for violating the Code of Conduct. The head of the office of the Ombudsman, Councillor Finlay Kanga, at Mikia Press briefing, called on Foreign Minister Sarah Beslow Yanti, Deputy Minister of Information for Public Affairs Daniel Sando, and the Executive Director of the Liberia National Disaster Management Agency, Ansu Dole, to resign their various positions with immediate effect. According to Councillor Finlay Kanga, these individuals have violated Section 5.1 and 5.1c of the Code of Conduct. As such, they should either resign their governmental position and focus on political party obligations. He further that these government officials have violated Section 5.8 of the Code of Conduct, which, according to him, relates to political party positions and participating in government. Councillor Finlay Kanga added that the action of the Office of the Ombudsman is consistent with the law to ensure good governance is at the epicenter of government. And Liberian businessman Koli Gege has underscored the importance of national unity as Liberia marks its 178th Independence Day. Speaking in a special message delivered Friday, he called on citizens from all walks of life to come together in the spirit of peace and collaboration. Mr. Gege highlighted that Liberia's development is not the responsibility of just a few individuals, but requires the collective effort of every Liberian. He urged citizens to play their part in building a better and stronger nation for future generations. In his message, Koli Gege also pointed out that sustainable progress can only be achieved when there is a shared sense of purpose and commitment amongst the people. He emphasized that national pride and unity are key drivers for meaningful change. The businessman further appealed to leaders at all levels to place the well-being of the people at the center of their policies and actions. He stressed that the government must work toward the fair and equitable distribution of the country's wealth and resources.
Saman Juice with the news bulletin. The news bulletin is a regular feature on King's Newsroom. A reminder you're listening to King's Newsroom, 45 minutes news about Liberia, Africa, and our one world. Stories we're following tonight as Liberia commemorates 178th Independence Day on Saturday. dozens of Liberians criticized the government over economic hardship, questioned government's sense of national celebration. President Joseph Boakai acknowledges deteriorating conditions of Monrovia Central Prison as he grants executive clemency to 75 inmates across Liberia. And also in the news tonight, Chief Imam of Liberia Ali Krai says Liberia Islamic community with police investigation in recent assault of a Muslim woman to speak on what is no doubt a potentially explosive situation, warns that Liberia is sitting on a time bomb. Away from home, the treason trial of the former president of the Democratic Republic of Congo, Joseph Kabila, has begun in a military court in the capital, Kinshasa. US President Donald Trump has said Hamas did not really want to make a deal on a new Gaza ceasefire and hostage release after the US and Israel withdrew their negotiating teams from Qatar. We'll take a break to be back with voices of the newsmakers. Welcome back and thanks for being there. Liberians will this Saturday celebrate the country's 178th Independence Day as the government named Ambassador Emmett Dunn as national orator. During the King's event, citizens view sampling in Monrovia. Citizens expressed worries over the country's economy, describing it as very tough.
And so let's get this other person. Your name, sir?
Yeah, and my name is Jack Willem.
Okay, Williams, tell us. Tomorrow is.
Actually, I'm not fully prepared because I'm a businessman.
Okay.
And business is not really moving to my expectation.
Oh.
Yeah, like for me, I have about 4 children. Thinking that the business will really move to expectation so that I can see how best to take care of my children's needs. But actually, business not really flowing.
So if you say business not flowing, what you mean? Is it that the rate being buying the material high or you are not seeing customer? What you mean?
Yeah, what I mean is that the money that I used to make when it comes to July 26, like when July 26 coming in a daytime, I can make close to $20,000. Okay. That is like $11. Okay. But now I haven't made close to 10,000. Then you see, it's just matching a father of 4 children.
So how are you comparing this Independence Day tomorrow with that of the previous one that have passed?
No, actually, and this one is gone. You know, financially, economically, it is gone.
Wow.
Yeah, it is clear. It is not something. It is not something that is in hiding. Even at elementary students, I can deduce that the July 26 things are tough.
So you say your name again?
My name is Jack Willem, actually.
Thanks for talking.
People not really buying for the 26.
Yeah, so for that reason, see tomorrow, 26 to be like, it will not have huge momentum, right? Okay, so you say your name.
I'm seeing, but what I'm seeing tomorrow, it will not really be huge for what I'm seeing.
So you say your name again?
My name is Gloria Sumo.
Liberians there commenting on the country's 178th Independence Day celebration. President Joseph Boakai has granted executive clemency to 75 inmates across the country as part of Liberia's 178th Independence Day celebration. The decision is in accordance with Article 59 of the Liberian Constitution, which empowers the president to grant reprieves and pardons to commute sentences as part of his executive authority. Speaking in Moreover on Friday following the release of the inmates, President Boakai urged the inmates to see their freedom as a second chance to contribute meaningfully to society.
Know what it means for young people who should be serving society, should be helping to make things better, to be on a seat and a condition. It's not the best thing. And we've been sure about the conditions and how you people were sent here. Some of you, because you didn't have anybody to talk for you, a short time where you are supposed to be for just about a couple of days, been here for years. But again, this is the conditions. But I can tell you one thing, that even as a human being looking at these buildings and the conditions here, doesn't serve any good purpose for any of us here to look at these kind of conditions here and leave them this way continue. Today we're here to talk to you people, to encourage some of you. Every country has a place, every country has to go through a legal system, correct some of the things that people do. But we want to encourage you who are here showing good behavior. I know some of you, your parents always meant good for you, but you have to be here. So today, I just want to tell you that it will be our job to make sure that the conditions here are improved within the very short time we have.
President Boakai there speaking earlier on today. A group under the banner All University Students with Disabilities is calling on the government to provide assistance for disabled university students by catering for their needs. The president of the group, Pinkett Boy, in an interview with King's Evan, also challenged private institutions to incorporate people with disabilities into their employment. Pinkett, who is a student at the state-run university, stressed that they have been ignored by past and current government in terms of support, something he describes as marginalization of people with disabilities in the country.
Persons with disability don't have voice in the national discourse. So even if you apply for radio time and say, I have this burning issue, the structure is being there to our decline, to deny persons with disabilities, to have their voices up, to have their voices heard. How many of our program, our radio station now today, do you have disabilities awareness?
Okay, so that drives me to another question. Could you mind telling us about your hope of inclusion in future?
Well, my hope of inclusion will be like everything would have just been the same if I leave from there. So it tells you that advocacy plays a key role, and that's where I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful of the future that Liberia community of persons with disabilities will have a different, a sort of inclusive nature in the coming years. In the coming years, this government, because when we were pushing on the University of Liberia, we're not just advocating. We're providing suggestions, we're providing recommendations, we provide what the administration has to do, and we make demands on these things. So nationally, we must take that same approach, and that's where we come. Nationally, we take that same approach. We will not make requests to government. We will deny government to provide for us.
And so
that is our.
Okay, so before I really get to that, for time, it's fast spent. Give us a scenario of inclusive hiring practices that have worked well.
So one of the very best examples that I've seen, especially in the private sector, because government hasn't done anything of Orange Liberia. This is the only private company in Liberia that has a key performance indicator of employing persons with disabilities, at least 3 every year.
And so let me draw you back to the.
No, this is more than 75% of the mandate that was given to the government by the passage of the 2025 and the 2005 Acts, the 2005. Sorry, this is a 75% endorsement of the 2005 Act that created the National
He's the president of a group under the banner All University Students with Disabilities, Pinkins Boy. A Liberian businessman, colleague Gigi, has underscored the importance of national unity as Liberia marks its 178th Independence Day. Speaking a special Delivering a special message on Friday, he called on citizens from all walks of life to come together in the spirit of peace and collaboration. Colley highlighted that Liberia's development is not the responsibility of just few individuals, but requires the collective effort of every Liberian.
As we mark the 178th independence anniversary of our beloved republic, I extend my warmest pre-July 26 greetings and heartfelt congratulations to all Liberians at home and abroad. July 26 is not just a date in history, it is a reminder of our collective strength, our shared dreams, and the enduring hope we carry for Mama Liberia. Liberia is more than a place. She is the heartbeat of her people. Her soil has nurtured us. Her trials have tested us, and her spirit continues to uplift us. As a proud Liberian businessman, I reaffirm my unwavering love and commitment to this nation. My love for you remains forever. Mama Liberia, may our unity grow stronger, our economic flourish, and our people continue to rise. Happy Pre-Independence Day to all. May God bless us, Liberia, the land of liberty.
His businessman, colleague Gigi, there speaking. National Fuda Governor of Liberia has expressed deep concern and sadness over the incident involving a Fula woman who was reportedly assaulted by officers of the Liberia National Police. In an interview Thursday, the Fulani governor, Amama So, described the action of the police as inappropriate and unacceptable, emphasizing that the Fulani community will ensure that justice is served.
Ladies and gentlemen, this situation is a very sad one for us. Try to be careful and to be too emotional about it. It's that I want to comment by thanking the leadership of governor office, Mr. Pastors, and the youth leaders. The leadership of the women for this day, the governor office and his advice. We are happy. We thank them for deciding to demonstrate to the world something that's happened and this is proof of. They speak that was the right thing to do, that's the right thing to do. Always stand for our rights. I want to be very peaceful about it. That also demonstrates that we are peaceful. Peaceful will always speak something with justice, method like this. Having said that, I want to say to you, the USF met with the urgent express of disappointment in the behavior of the police. Summary, we told Muslim community who are very much to him what is happening. All of us, I can be clear with that. Someone here expressing disappointment over the behavior of one of his officers. And that was wrong, but even that we cannot tolerate it, we cannot be treated like that, especially for the express disappointment. Overall, he apologized. Apologized to say very sorry, very disappointed what has happened. Promise us, in fact, inform us already, those that were involved in that act already proceeded at the police are going to investigate and will be dealt with. They are sure of that. It means that a committee will be set up instead of naming a committee. But the leadership also decided that look, we believe in the working of the national police, the rest of the national police. So we will now participate in the investigation that will be conducted.
He's National Fula Governor of Liberia, Amama So. Meanwhile, several Liberians have sharply criticized Liberia National Police Inspector General Gregory Common over what they describe as rendering a police officer guilty without conducting investigation. Several Liberians who phoned in on King's FM Real Talk said the police boss action of siding with protesters without thorough investigation exposes police officers to more harm.
Not because I'm a Muslim, they are Muslims that should come back then on the radio. But the Fula people in this country, they are one of the people that are always creating tension. And all of my Dingo brothers now backing us by going with them at the head of the police headquarters. It was wrong. It was wrong. And Gregory Kuma, If you have a religion, the law is the law. When you do something, the law take a course. No, you are not bring a Muslim religion. He said, no, that is was wrong. Saying you have no reason for showing police officer. Police officer should be a brother, should be a sister, should be a. The boss said that anytime you have to say it, go ahead and speak on it. That's why the phone you have to fight educate whatever you have to know. The police are the solicitors, they are in the arm way. Trust me, that's Andrew. What I meant day to day to tell the people who saw everything that happened, there's no investigation. They not going to call you. Another say you'll be a investigation is bad. But man, I said, Andrew, oh, they just get it, blood, you waste free blood. When it comes to Fula or Madigo or religion, when it comes to this guy, they can't stop it. When it comes to peace and no respect, the last time they killed it over, if they are working on plan of blood, no police power tech. But the people are crying when they say, oh, shut up, Bob. God was saying, he's keep coming to his keep coming. He said, my sister is not getting on the book. She said the man was the best. Make us say, that go, she can't go. She said the man, she put on the child, but you hold the child in your hand. That was wrong. You can't do that to the people. They are politically they can feel it. But let's talk about how you will make the vote get free. Let's look about it. When she did to that police officer, she can wait to her husband before they protest it. They would their husband that can treat them as slaves. She want to do it to any government. Don't blame anybody that's present for my.
Voices of Liberians there. A reminder, you listen to King's News, Broom 45 minutes news about Liberia, Africa in our one word. Stories will follow in tonight as Liberia commemorates 178th Independence Day on Saturday. Dozens of Liberians criticize the government over economic hardship, question government's sense of national celebration. President Joseph Boyka acknowledges deteriorating conditions of Morovia Central Prison as he grants executive clemency to 75 inmates across Liberia. Chief Imam of Liberia, Ali Krai, says Liberia Islamic community awaits police investigation in the recent assault of a Muslim woman to speak on what is no doubt a potentially explosive situation once the Liberia is sitting on time bomb. Away from home, the treason trial of the former president of the Democratic Republic of Congo, Joseph Kabila, has begun in a military court in the capital, Kinshasa. U.S. President Donald Trump has said Hamas did not really want to make a deal on new Gaza ceasefire and hostage release after the U.S. and Israel withdrew their negotiating teams from Qatar. We'll take a break to continue with more voices. Welcome back and thanks for being there. The Solidarity and Trust for a New Day has announced Monday, August 4, a Citizens Appreciation Day to honor Liberians who participated in the July 17 Enough is Enough protest. STEN Chairman Mama Bolu said the day is intended to recognize the courage and solidarity of thousands of Liberians who joined the protest in demand of justice, accountability, and reforms from the Boakai Kon administration. Here is STEN's Secretary General George Tengwe speaking to Kings FM.
STEN declares August 4, 2025 as Citizens Appreciation Day. Now, on August 4, 2025, at 11 a.m. at our headquarters in Congo Town, we intend to appreciate and honor our brave men and women who stood up during the historic July 17 Enough is Enough protest. Now, despite the fear, tactics, and intimidations from our security sectors or forces, Liberians march in their thousands on that heavy rain to demand justice, accountability, and real reform. They are the heroes and heroines of our modern democracy. That said, The day, August 4th, 2025, was set aside to appreciate and honor them. This event will feature different forms of cultural performances, revolutionary songs from different countries of the world that have seen total reform coming to the country through the form of peaceful demonstration. We'll have speeches from all of the groupings and other organizations that endorse the protest.
George Tengbe is the Secretary General of the Solidarity and Trust for a New Day. Former Finance Minister David Fahad has challenged President Joseph Boakai to take responsibility of the affairs of Liberia by focusing on the forward march of the country. The former finance minister also frowned on police brutalities across the country, adding that it is presenting a wrong image of the country to the international community. According to him, there is no need for current government officials to shift blame on past leaders regarding lack of developmental initiatives.
There's a lot of yo-yo going on, people writing this, writing that, and I'm happy. Life is a stage. And when you come on the stage and your time is feeling, you leave the stage and go by your business. Let your audience decide what you did. But the main point I want to say, whether we did this, didn't do that, whatever. Now the government is in the hand of Honorable Joseph Yeman Parker. He's responsible for the country. Everything wrong or right, it is responsibility. That's why they say heavy is the head that wears the crown. So what he is supposed to do now is to right the wrong, correct what was wrong, and improve what needs to be. So whether we are big, we made him my role or he didn't build, is no longer there. His time finished. He's off the stage. Now, we as citizens need to bring some of the things we think need to be done. Situation. Our children are dying terribly. Children all night in the street. They're going. Something has to be done upon them. It's government responsibility to protect our citizens. The children must be protected. Something must happen about this drug. Otherwise, we'll continue flip-flopping. China got rid of this thing. They made it of you. They catch it with you, only God will save you. And that's the only way. We have to take some drastic measures. Talk about the corruption, another area that we need to tackle. The president himself, I listened to him on social media. Where are the roads? He said there was money. We know some of these people where the money went. This is Barker's administration. And no, not JJ Rawa being ordered there, Tottenham being ordered there, we have been ordered there. They can make all the noise to make. It's not there no more. When you're running for those positions, you should know some of the things you're going to be faced with. We don't have any residential area no more. Everywhere they see the hole, they put out the mark. No, that's not to be done. The government needs to do something about that. Motorbike ball. Everywhere you see a pile of police standing out. I said, we don't need to do that. Government needs to make a decision. This is what the decision communicated to your people. Now, when you violate it, well, then you're looking for your own trouble. We don't have to have 10, hundreds of police officers wasting time in the street chasing motorbikes. This is the thing. But indisciplined public servant, indisciplined labor force, very indisciplined. How can we work? How can we progress? We are indisciplined. We are not ready. We don't have a mind to work. Got to cut that nonsense out. Put the people to work. All day they in the street walking, even the university, instead of go to class, they up and down. We have to do something about that. Human beings have to be controlled. A jelly or car going down the hill full speed. If you don't control it, will go to a wreck. That's human being. You have to control them.
Fahad at the same time encouraged Liberians to be proud to celebrate the country's Independence Day.
Liberia is a great-great-grandfather in our region. 178 years. Some of the countries around here, they ain't really 50 good years. So that means we've been here for a long time. That is remarkable. That's something to celebrate, that we are here. And God has kept us, so we should give praises to God for having kept us in spite of everything. We are here, so we have a lot to celebrate. Liberia is still here. regardless of what we may say, the ups and downs. But we're here. We have had our problems, our ups and downs, and we stay happy. And we'll stay happy. They're not going to go away. Life is not without a problem. Life is never without a problem. Life has a good side, bad side, sweet side, bitter side. So they will always be there. And so we need to celebrate because 178. But we should be careful how we celebrate and push out our chest. Because there's a lot of things we could have done, we haven't done. And that's the beauty of history, to teach us where we went wrong and to help us to better our journey. And sometimes we forget that.
Former Finance Minister David Fahad. Away from home, the treason trial of the former President of the Democratic Republic of Congo, Joseph Kabila, has begun in a military court in the capital Kinshasa. He also faces other charges, including murder and rape, linked to his alleged support for M23 rebels, who control a large part of the mineral-rich east of the country. He denies the charges, did not appear at the hearing, and has asked to be tried in absentia. Kabila's successor has accused him of being the brains behind the rebels. The ex-president has rejected the case as arbitrary and said the courts were being used as instruments of oppression. And U.S. President Donald Trump has said Hamas did not really want to make a deal on the new Gaza ceasefire and hostage release after the U.S. and Israel withdrew their negotiating teams from Qatar. U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff said on Thursday night that the response by the Palestinian Army Group to the latest proposal showed a lack of desire. There was no immediate Hamas response to Trump's comment, but the group earlier expressed surprise about what keeps negative remarks, and an official said the group had been told Israeli negotiators will return to Doha next week. Well, on that note, that's how we come to the near end of this edition of King's Newsroom. But before we leave, a quick reminder of stories we followed in the headlines. As Liberia commemorates 178th Independence Day on Saturday, dozens of Liberians criticized the government over economic hardship, question government sense of national celebration. President Joseph Boakai acknowledges deteriorating conditions of Monrovia Central Prison as he grants executive clemency to 75 inmates across the country. We also heard in the news Chief Imam of Liberia, Ali Krai, says Liberia Islamic community awaits police investigation in recent assault of a Muslim woman to speak on what is no doubt a potentially explosive situation once that Liberia is sitting on a time bomb. Away from home, the treason trial of the former president of the Democratic Republic of Congo, Joseph Kabila, has begun in a military court in the capital Kinshasa. U.S. President Donald Trump said Hamas did not really want to make a deal on a new Gaza ceasefire and hostage release after the U.S. and Israel withdrew their negotiating teams from Qatar. Many thanks to our reporters, correspondents, and all those who help in making this edition of King's Newsroom a success. Sam Andrews sat at control and brought you the news bulletin. On behalf of the team, I'm Shemadel. I presented. Thanks for listening and watching, and have a pleasant, happy Independence Day.